One quick update, too, for the Dorsey story. So earlier today, it was announced that he was expected to resign. He posted, I resigned from Twitter. And his successor is a guy named Parag Agarwal.
Oh,
so
cool.
we found a good tweet from him. If they're not going to make a distinction between Muslims and extremists, then why should I distinguish between white people and racists?
Oh, well,
good
you
one.
new leader of Twitter. How about that? How about, here, look, let me tell you exactly why. Can you bring that tweet up again and read it for me? Because let me dissect this live on the spot. Hey,
Sure.
do you guys want to? If you guys want me to dissect it, smash that like button.
Do it.
Smash that like button right now because I just got irritated. I felt my blood pressure probably go up about 20 points. Because this is the kind of thing, not that he says it, but that stupid people will say, that's really insightful.
Yeah.
Kind of like Oprah's book club,
Yeah.
Smart man.
where they act like there's any value. Okay, bring it back up.
All right, Parag Agarwal. If they're not going to make a distinction between Muslims and extremists, then why should I distinguish between white people and racists?
Okay, let me be very clear, first off. Muslim is not a race of people, okay? That's one. Muslim is a group of people who follow a specific religion. Islam, white is a race of people. So this is the new CEO of Twitter? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. New CEO of Twitter comparing white people to Muslims, extremists to racists. Okay? Muslim, not a race of people. White, race of people. Muslims follow a religion. That religion has a very specific political and pragmatic prescription as to how you live your life. Now, those words coming directly from Muhammad actually include calls to violence. Not saying that all Muslims practice it, but to deny that Muhammad lived a life, waged war, called for the deaths of Christians and Jews, and called his followers to war. He called them to peace sometimes, but he definitely called them to war in the very real and physical and violent sense. Of course, the founder of the feast is going to lead to many of his followers taking his words to mean what he said. You cannot find an example of that under the umbrella white people, race, and I assume that he's speaking about the United States, where anywhere it says, hey, go kill black people wherever they may. If there is a black person behind the tree will say, the black is behind me, the black is behind me. These are verses from the Quran and the Surah and the Hadith. Just to be clear, big difference. So you can say that extremists have perverted Islam. They would argue that they're following the exact words from Muhammad. Whereas even Christian extremists cannot justify violence through the words of Jesus Christ. It's not possible to do. But you're not even comparing Christians and Muslims. You're now saying, I'm going to accuse all white people of being racist. And that also, by the way, assumes that racism is exclusive to white people. How about you say, oh, you can make this exact same statement. If you're going to compare all Muslims and extremists, then I'm going to compare all blacks and racism. You see how silly of a comparison it is? And this guy thinks it's insightful. So what that tells me is this is someone who is set out with a prefabricated agenda that he is going to push on people, regardless of how completely devoid of logic it is. I hope I've parsed through that comparison for you. I don't want any yes men here. Anything that I've said here that needs to be highlighted, needs to be corrected?
Nope. No corrections.
Yes.
Anything else that you see a problem with that? I mean, I'm sure you have something there, Gerald.
I see a problem with, we did separate Muslims from extremists. That's another problem. He's assuming that we just say all Muslims are going to blow themselves up at a McDonald's, and we're like,
Right.
no. What we're saying is that for every other week for a terrorist attack to happen around the world and for us to have to cover it all the time, we started to see a pattern. We started to see a pattern of these people saying, this is what Islam told me. Dying in jihad is the only way. The only way to be guaranteed to go to heaven in that religion. So when that is the case, the most sane thing to do is to die in jihad.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Let me bring up one more thing, too. Since he compared Islam versus white people. Now, the difference is you don't really have governments, for example, like the United States is not a white person's government. I mean, I think you know if you just simply look at one of those hearings, and even the California state legislature, because they were busy throwing eggs at Larry Elder while wearing a gorilla mask. So I'll just compare non-Muslim countries in predominantly white areas as opposed to Islamic countries that actually adhere to Islamic law. So when he said, hey, I'll just compare all white people to, or I guess sort of lob into the same category, white people and racists versus Islam and extremism. Okay, let me ask you this. Is it wrong for me to say that every single Islamically run country in the world is extremist? To me. Name one that isn't. Anyone.
The country
Saudi
or the
Arabia,
individual?
Iraq, Iran, Syria, let's go. Turkey, UAE, Qatar. Even in those places, you have women who can't drive. Even in those places, you have women who are stoned for infidelity. Even in those places, women don't have the same rights as men do. Even in those places, you have punishment for people who are apostates who leave the faith of Islam. Name me one Islamic country where you could do the kind of shit that you and Jack Dorsey do on Twitter, unfettered, should it ever come to criticizing Islam. One Islamic country where that would be okay. Now, can you name me any white country? Let's just use the United States as an example, where they would treat you the same way? Is there any state within the United States where if a woman doesn't cover her head, she could be beaten? Is there any state in the United States where a woman is not allowed to walk in front of men at a sporting game? I'm using the moderate examples here. I'm not just talking about cutting heads off at a soccer game. You do realize, right, you go to UAE,
Halftime
if you're at a sporting event, a woman has to walk around the men. Can't walk in front of them, particularly if there's any royalty there. Is there anything even close to the most moderate human rights infractions that you see in every single Islamic country here in the Western world? I'll wait, because to me, I think that's extremist.
Let me go one better here. How many places in the world where Islam is practiced as a major religion will you let us set up a Christian court?
Yes.
Within your sovereign territory?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anywhere. You know where it happens? The UK, several places in Europe. They tried to do it here. I think they tried to do it in Oklahoma. They tried to do it in Michigan, tried to do it in New York. That would never happen.
Right. No. It's one of those things where people always take an extreme example. I am saying the moderate examples of when Muslims attain power and use Islam as the basis for law. It's not a place I would ever want to live. It's not a place I would ever even be willing to visit. I think it's extreme enough. But hey, this is what so out with the old Jack Dorsey, in with the new fascist asshole. Wonderful.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.